That big boss, that's special. It ain't no game, but they saying welcome to the second level. Second level. Second level gaming. Second level.
What is going on, Level 2 Legion? You got Tommy Keegan here with Level 2 Gaming, and we're back with another Couch Conversations, which they seem to love. A lot of people eat
yeah,
these
I
up.
think you guys are digging these, which is cool.
Yeah.
I feel like it's the closest you're ever going to get to being in a room with us until you're actually physically in a room with us, so, yeah.
Then we can have a fun time.
Well, settle down.
But anyways, the topic for today is licensing in video games, and that includes whether it's a company licensing to multiple companies or exclusive licensing. I'm going to focus a little bit more on the exclusivity because there's a couple of things that happened recently that I want to talk about.
Sure.
So getting this started off with the exclusivity, as we know, NFL, the big talk right now. I'm in a Madden league, and the big talk right now is the next Madden is coming out. They announced information about it and all that. And me and a couple of guys in the league are like, oh, you remember this game? Like NFL 2K, NFL 2K, that series was probably the best NFL game. And the reason it died was because EA bought the license to the NFL. So 2K can still continue making a football game, but they can't use Peyton Manning, can't use Tom Brady, can't use like the likeness. And there's obviously a little bit of value to that, in my opinion, when it comes to buying games.
I think so.
So what is your opinion on license exclusivity? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing?
Well,
what's your thought?
I like that there's the ability for us to have sports games where the players are real players and wear the real uniforms and things like that. As far as hankering it down to just one company, that's kind of shitty. If I remember way back in the day, and I'm talking like SNES days, maybe a little past that, in England the big fight was over two particular sports franchises, FIFA and PES. Pro Evo.
Which they're both still around.
They're both still around. But Pro Evo, at the time, was largely regarded as the better game. Just because FIFA had a lot of problems in the beginning. It's got way better, let's just say that. But at the beginning, it was kind of rough around the edges. And Pro Evo was always far more kind of well put together and what have you. And then, of course, because FIFA is fucking FIFA, they owned everything. So Pro Evo was consistently sort of behind with the name situation and the color situation, and it got to a point where honestly the fans of the game wanted to be Wayne Rooney, or they wanted to be like whoever, and that let them down enough so that when FIFA eventually started getting their quality a little bit higher,
people jumped ship.
Yeah, then people were like, fuck it, FIFA it is. You know, they're good enough now, and because they have the names, this is going to be a better experience.
And it sucks because, I mean,
Pro Evo
who makes Pro Evo? Do you know what company makes it? You don't know?
Yeah.
Because I guarantee you EA is throwing a shit ton of money at FIFA, at NFL, at probably Major League Baseball as well. Like all the sports titles. I mean, it's basically, when I think of sports, I think of EA Sports, which is what they want, because that's what I used to play. But I played for basketball, NBA Live. I used to play it all the time, but it sucks. And then 2K got better. So it used to be
2K was the opposite version.
Yeah. So here's a prime example of where it's really good to have, because the other thing you have with exclusivity is you don't have competition.
Right.
So back in the day, NBA Live was the game to play. Like hands down, was the sports title you wanted to pick up. Well, somewhere in the mid-2000s, something happened, and 2K kind of took it over. And I remember there was one year with 2K, the first 2K game I bought for basketball, I can't remember what year it was, but the big thing they were touting was that you could see butt sweat. Like, you could see their butt and back sweat in the game as it went along.
Sweat for the win.
Which is, it's a weird thing, but it's true. And that kind of then made EA kind of step up their game a little bit more. They're still having issues with it, but it's weird because if there's exclusivity, you would have no option. You would have to stay with the shitty game, kind of EA telling you what you want, and you're not able to innovate when it comes to certain styles of play or whatever it may be.
I think exclusivity in general is kind of a shitty thing. I mean, we talk about like console exclusives and stuff, but yeah, it's kind of nice. There's a little bit of a twinge of joy when your company announces one.
Yeah.
You know, like you're watching E3 and Sony's like, oh, we have this. And
we have The Last Guardian. You can't have that on Xbox.
Yeah, and there's a little bit of joy in that, but at the same time, like, it's brief and flittering, and honestly, aren't we all gamers here? Don't we want to play everything? I don't know anyone that's a shitty enough human being that like would like to deny
Somebody
another
play.
person the gaming experience. Like when Last of Us came out, like I wanted everyone to play Last of Us so I could talk to everyone about Last of Us.
Mhm.
And some folks were left out, and the PS4 generation was the first time they got a chance to play it.
Mhm.
So. Yeah, in general, exclusivity is shitty. You were mentioning Star Wars as well.
Yeah, Star Wars is the big one.
Yeah.
So EA owns the exclusive license for Star Wars. And you remember back in the day, there was a bunch of Star Wars games. You had Pod Racer. I mean,
There's been a bazillion Star Wars games.
LucasArts was its own company. Now it's not its
Yeah.
own company anymore. But you had LucasArts. You had who did Knights of the Old Republic? Who did that?
BioWare.
BioWare.
wasn't it?
Yeah. So like they had it, and I think the way I look at Star Wars is, I think the companies should have the rights, should be make a game that they've made before. If that makes sense. So like EA with Battlefield knows how to make a shooter. So Battlefront makes sense. But if EA tried to go in and make a strategy game or something, or an RPG,
Probably fuck
I'd
it up.
question a little bit more. I'd rather have Ubisoft potentially make an RPG because that's what they tend to make. Or Bethesda. Actually, Bethesda would be the best one.
God, guys, let's make that happen. Bethesda, make a fucking
Dude,
Star
picture
Wars
the next
RPG.
Fallout, basically
Star
in
Wars?
Star Wars.
Ooh.
That would be cool.
Do it.
Let's do it. But like that's
But they
again,
can't do it, and that's the whole.
yeah, that's the whole point.
whole reason
And
we're
I
talking about
guarantee
this.
again, I guarantee
Yeah.
that EA paid a lot of money for it, and it kind of sucks. I get from EA's perspective, it's about making money, and that makes sense. Like, yeah, we have this, and we can tout that we have this. And they said they're making multiple different versions of different games.
You know,
but
I don't hate EA. Like I know that they get a lot of shit, and they were like the worst company in America at one
For, like,
point. and
4
that
years
kind
in a
of
row.
Stuff, like beating
then
up
Comcast won.
Yeah. I don't hate them. I think that they're trying. Like I do dislike when they try and nickel and dime certain things. Like,
I'm starting to feel that
But
Battlefront.
we've already discussed that
Yeah.
at length. But I think that for the most part they're trying, and they're
Mm-hmm.
trying to do some interesting things. And there are some EA games that are not sports related that are actually genuine innovations. So
And the question then also with that license exclusivity is how do you better yourself? So like I'm gonna go back to sports titles.
Sure.
Madden, you have no competition. So who's Madden competing against themselves?
Mm.
Well, if they just slightly tweak it and release a new game, $60, who's going to argue?
Which is
Because
what
there's
they
nothing,
do.
There's nothing else.
Yeah.
I mean, I had this conversation with one of our coworkers about essentially saying Madden should be a 3-year cycle. Should be a 3-year cycle, and every year you get a roster update.
yeah, I would think like if they
That's-
had just like a download of the roster update would be pretty nice. But then like the full overhaul came at larger time periods. Like
I
you
think
said
more
though,
games need to
the
do that.
lack of competition is really it's
They have
a sad thing.
They could do whatever the hell they want. And
Yeah,
nobody's gonna,
when you have a monopoly like that, it means that there's no one that's pushing you to up your game. So, like with NBA Live and 2K and all that kind of stuff, you know, NBA Live was the dominant party for the longest time, and it pushed 2K to do better,
Well,
and they did.
Think
and
about
we got good games.
Think about the weird games we've had back in the day. Like again, I'm a big sports gamer, so I'm gonna do sports. But like NBA Jam, you had NBA Hang Time. Like you can't get those games with Madden, with football. NFL Blitz is done.
Yeah.
Like there's no more NFL. I love that
They
game.
still release the college games, but they're EA.
They can't because of licensing.
Oh, they stopped.
So that's literally why they
EA had the licensing for the college games.
they did. But then there's an issue with using people's likeness. So that's a whole other licensing issue.
It's a whole
Is
other thing.
money involved, and student athletes not getting paid. But
Gotcha.
it's one of those things like you'll never get that weird quirky game that yes it's not a hardcore. I think the hardcore sims have their place, but I also like having these like it's like a racing game. You can play Forza, and I guarantee you probably won't like Forza as much as you like Burnout because you seem like you'd be more of an arcadey style racer. So like, just picture somebody monopolized racing or somebody monopolized World War I shooters, World War II shooters. How much we wouldn't have, and I feel like that's a certain. I mean, yes, it's like the difference of genre versus a entity, but the entities are so big that they're using that. Why would I buy a game that's just called Football 2K14 when I can play with my NFL team and my players? Because that's honestly what it is it's fantasy football for me.
Yeah.
So I mean, I had like I said, I had the conversation at length with some people at work that I'm in the league with, and I get, again, from business side, I understand why they got to do it and why they want to do it, and they spent big money on it, and they want to make money off of it. And Star Wars is a big franchise, and I don't think Battlefront would have sold as well if it didn't have Star Wars. Like, and that's a sign where licensing works. So that's why they want the exclusive rights, because if they release Battlefront and somebody over here releases Battlefront, whatever, like same concept game, you're competing with each other, and they lose sales. That's why they buy the exclusive rights to it. So it makes sense, but as a gamer,
and that's how a lot of these conversations are going. Frankly, is it like what's good for the goose is not necessarily good for the gander.
Yeah.
But what do you guys think? Do you guys think that exclusivity breeds contempt, or do you think that it would be better to have competition? Do you like that one company mostly handles the kind of the official version of a game? How do you feel? Let us know in the comments below. You guys have been really active in these comments, and we're kind of really stoked on it. So please
it's fun responding.
Keep talking to us and each other. That's cool too.
So,
yeah. Good talk.
Good talk.
All right.
Thanks for watching, guys. And as always, welcome to the second level. Bye. So the best way to get in touch with Level 2 Gamers is head over to Twitter and follow us at Level 2 Gamers. We're going to sit here till you do that. Have you gone yet? Go. Come on, bro. No, just... I'll make it easier. Put a link here. Just go. Why are you still here? Go to Twitter. I don't think they're going to Twitter.